verse number 3, he says, so I went down to the potter's house, and I saw him working on the wheel. Ooh, now I felt the Lord, when I read that verse, I felt the Lord tell me to let you know today that God is working at the wheel. Listen, I felt like God told me to make sure that I remind everybody in here today that it is God who is working at the wheel. You know, we love to say, Jesus, take the wheel. You don't have to tell me to take the wheel. God's working at the wheel. You may not see it and you may not feel it and you may not realize that God is there, but let me assure you today that God sent you this way to have an understanding that God is working at the wheel. God is working at the wheel. Come on, slap your neighbor and tell him God's working at the wheel. Come on, tell your neighbor God's working at the wheel. He's at the wheel. Listen, life didn't take a dirt road that God's not at the wheel. Listen, life did not hit a bump that God's not at the wheel. I don't know who needs to hear this today. Listen, you didn't face a curve in your road in life, in your journey called life, that God is not at the wheel. Listen, you're not climbing a hill that God is not at the wheel. You'll not go through a valley that God is not at the wheel. Though I walk through the valley, God says you're going to walk, but guess what? Keep on walking, because God is at the wheel. Listen, you're not going to have a detour in life that God is not at the wheel. There'll not be a roadblock in your life that God is not at the wheel. Listen, God's at the wheel, and if God's at the wheel, guess what? We're going to make it to our destination.